Yeah. Hours, yeah. And etc. But anyway, God's sister of the rose, and looking back at the garden, a cold dog, and then picture of it, and then set about to paint it. And I haven't spoken to this, I'm not sure what foundation is in it. She painted that now from a picture. Yes, yes, she's also 17. They're not down that often. They were little at the start. We get next year, but now we don't see them. She's working there like florists weekends, and florists they do them weddings and all these things. She getting this experience. It's actually this yesterday. That's some glow in her eye. It's west in west rest of our house. Yeah, I've been 3 times. So she's sending us the pictures. All that other things. Sorry. I think I really attention to yeah, that's your password. Everything knows that. They know we can. I just want to take this to feel very good for this. False rose. Down. Spáilte Róg go léir gur bhíle mágad for coming this morning and to celebrate Bealtaine. We're going to start with a little fire ceremony just to open up the space. We're just going to open up the space. Of course, the circle, very important in the Celtic mythology, the power of 3, the magic 3. So we'll do 3 little laps around. I have my daughter Nirvani behind me, my husband Honorban, and of course we are joined today by Sheila on the harp, and is going to sing and do all sorts of wonderful things today with us. So yeah, so this is just to open up the space. So you could use this time to make sure your phone is on silent and just to come into this space. You've been so amazing to take the time out of your busy schedule. So give yourself this time. I am going to repeat the lines of Emerging Song or Dawn Emerging, which is a very old ancient poem in Ireland, and you'll be hearing more about Emerging and Uru, just to open up the space. But just give yourself a chance just to settle in and just relax and get comfortable. Loosen anything that's tight and just be here now. I'm Dergreen, I'm Senegal. I'm Gaeilge. I'm Máire. Free fro this fro flock to. I'm Tan Tren. I'm Con Nubi. I think we've done a hagen agus a dough, and this is our three, ever three. I'll be speaking a little bit of Gaeilge, right? I recognise some of you from Gaeilge, but there'll be mainly Australia in English. Just the Gaeilge glimmers. Sinead. So that's us done. We'll put this down here. So good. I've lit three candles on the stage. William's always saying to me, "Don't be setting everything on fire." Right. Let's see what we do this. Might let her up to the other one. I'll come through. And feel free to come up on after and take photographs and all of that. I always try and set up things that are connected. Candle to a scale, yeah. And this is the little ancestors one always. So there we go. I learned all my candle lighting from Catholicism. It's a great practice, isn't it? Nothing like lighting the candles. But of course it predates Christianity. Of course it does, like an awful lot of good stuff, right? So yeah, so welcome everyone to Falsha Road. And I've got my little clicker, my little slideshow to keep me on track, because I can't tend to go a little bit off track, as you who know me. We'll try and see. Yeah, so Banachni na Bealtaine Ditcha, happy May Day to you. Of course, the 1st of May would have been last weekend, but we celebrate Bealtaine around this time. In fact, Ishnach was yesterday on the Hill of Ishnach, which is near where I'm from, the Hill of Ishnach, the sacred centre of Ireland. Anybody watching on our phones from the world, so we could just check in, and then of course to check in with our community. So, Gamal. I think we say that together, Gamal, which means just to go slow. So this was in the Gaeilge talk. I was lucky enough to be there last week. And so the flowers are in bloom for Bealtaine. I'm sure you've started to feel the fun of the energy of this summer coming, and you can see it everywhere. In London, we can see all the roses, but of course, when you're in rural Ireland, there's less of that, really. There's maybe the dog rose, but you start to see all of these. Yeah. This was just me out my walks in Kerry, more primroses. And this was in my own garden. I came back to it was my own garden. Yeah, back that one. So you just start to feel the energy. So the whole concept of these festivals is, rather than getting into sync with social media and with what's going on out there, that we could get back into sync with the land and with the cycle of the seasons, and we're coming out of the dark half of the year, which is Samhain, of course, and we had a celebration here. Then we come through Imbolc, which is the 1st of February, which is spring, and then we're now coming into around the beginning of May, which is the start of summer. If some of you are wondering about that calendar, the Irish calendar is actually different than the English. We're agricultural based. I remember my daughter coming home to me from school and telling me that I didn't know the months of the year in the order and all the rest of it. So it's funny because it is actually the agricultural year. So yeah, so that's the reason we're here, is to connect, and we can feel it all around us ourselves. We can feel it. So it's already happening. Yeah. And the buttercups, of course, coming out. These are just my own photos, yeah. And then we're lucky enough, like I said, to be joined by Sheila Moylan today, and her art is up all around the hallway. She has an exhibition going on here, and it is for sale, so you can come at the end and speak to her for prints or for what's on the wall. But we've also matched up some of our work. We have huge synchronicity, the two of us, with the feminine energy that comes out of Ireland. So this is one of her beautiful pieces. And this is, to me, the energy of what we're looking towards, that energy of this part of the year, the light part of the year. We want to go out now, we want to meet people. And you have, of course, the sacred spiral, which is in the ancient sites all over. Um, yeah, Another part of what we're doing is decolonising. So there's a huge movement, obviously, in London in relation to this over the last couple of years. Roads would fall and all the rest of it. Ireland was colonised, and we did, our language was pushed to the edges. So, but it's in our minds as well, this colonisation. That we maybe don't think that it's worthy of attention. These beautiful cycles that we have with the land, or maybe the language itself, and we've received a lot of messages to suggest it's not. So that's part of what we're doing. And again, this is another lovely one by Sheila. Um, and again, these are all for sale afterwards. I'll come back to some of these for a little bit of explanation, but I just wanted to give you an overview. And I said, this is back from Kerry, where I was, just to relate back to the land. And in the Irish tradition, we have the goddesses are called the Spare Ban, which means the woman of the sky. And I was really struck by when I was in rural Ireland again, the size of the sky. Like once you leave London, the sky is huge, isn't it? So no wonder they were having connections to the sky and the earth. And then you come back. I live in a basement as well, so you come back and your sky view is decreased, decreased, decreased. So that's what we're trying to connect in today. Yeah. Okay, so is everybody feeling that? Yeah, lovely. Um, and so the next part of it, we are going to have Sheila play us a song, and I'll stop talking now and let her go on ahead. Is in dar me, fenig on our the virgin o quoni, kushte na launer. Vi behåller fennan is when yogins kjande. Vad jag kan banja till gläffen Alleluia gauner bona. Alleluia gauner be the garden. Alleluia gauner gauner. No gauner margin. Fighter dam kana is fighter the mora is fighter dam silken farid makrit hukta kyote shina krenave asya farim makrusa skurbin yellow sagena no more Buria. Nagana bona. Nagana via the fire. Nagana bona. na gauna bhaide tairi ag dasar na bhaide. Láca míad ar léanach, is cean ó míad gamna, agus cur míad ar férid amach ins na glánta. Is a siad an fér bar an áit an ceall is tucha siad ó bhaile gan an bainne o'r an tairi. Alw na gauna bona. Alw na gauna bydd y barlaw. Alw na gauna gael y bona. Na gauna modyn tairi. Victor's Gohuntag, as they say at the Gaeilge. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sheila. Um, and the energy from that song, maybe some of you who do know it, it's quite a famous traditional song to sing at this time of the year. It is about the calves dancing at Dausu, and Rinka for the Sauru. And that's a big part of what this celebration originally was connected to, of course, connected to the land. And so there's three rituals. I mean, there's a lot of rituals associated with Bealtaine. There's an amazing book, Customs and Rituals by Máire, if you're interested in. There's a plethora of them. But the three I'm going to talk to today, one of them actually is about the concept of the cattle. And you have a very famous saying called either Gá China na Bealtaine, to be in between the two fires of Bealtaine. But it also kind of means to be undecided if you don't know what to do. But one of the big things that happened at this time of the year was they moved the livestock up to the pastures. And so they were moving them on up to pastures, even just up hills, mountains. It didn't have to be quite on the level of Heidi, if any of you read Heidi and the Alex back in the day, one of my favorite books ever. We didn't have to be quite going to those heights in Ireland, but it would just be to pastures a bit greener up the hills and up the smaller mountains. So that was a big part of the culture. And so people had to come together to do that. And that's called the booling. And very interestingly, as a little side note, the people who did the booling were teenagers, na Daygori rather. And there were girls and boys who were given the job of doing this. And off they went by themselves independently, which is an incredible thing where you think the anxiety we have. I have a teenager myself, almost teenager, actually, should be 13, Nirvani, at the end of this month. And they were given this job to go off and do this and entrusted with it. And I mean, what a great time they must have had just themselves, So that's very interesting in where we are now, where we're very worried about our children and we wouldn't let them out of our sight and all the rest of it. So again, some of these practices could be very helpful when how we interact with the world. But that was called booling, and they were called the Booly girls and the Booly boys. And they went off and did that. But before they did that, all of the community would come together in a ceol and they would have a festival together. And there would be a big fire, often two fires. And Ishnok, where I'm from, would have the first fire. And then from Ishnok, this site, you can see 21, I think, counties in Ireland. It's very flat, the Midlands where I'm from. So it's not hard to see stuff because everything's flat, When I was down in Kerry, I was thinking, God, this is really the Schleifta, because the mountains where I'm from is very flat. But you could see around, and then they would start that first fire there, and it would go on to Tara and all the different hills. But so it was a very significant place later on with the different kings and rulers and everyone, the tribes. But at this point, you would come together, and this is what they would do. They would actually drive the cattle through the fires. And this was a kind of a cleansing, and I think it was probably also quite joyful. There was a whole sense of being together, and then off the teenagers would go. So that's one of the biggest kind of rituals of Bealtaine. And I mean, of the four festivals, to be honest, the four fire festivals are called, was this sense of fire. I mean, I would say, to be honest with you, it's for warmth as much as anything else. I mean, I was I was in Kerry last week, and could be blown away with the cold. It's freezing. So I think, why did I like the fire? I'm sure there was a practical reason as well. So Chinna na Bealtaine, the fire of Bealtaine. So that's something that you can replicate in your own home. You can light a candle. And again, of course, that came into Christianity, the idea of lighting a flame. And that calls up, all of that imagery, that attach to the light of the light half of the year. So that's one of the biggest ones. And you can light something in your back garden, if you've got a means to do that, even if you can't go to one of the festivals. But go to Ishnok one year. It's fantastic. I think there was about 6,000 people there yesterday. Yeah, pretty amazing. They had little memorials, a man called McGann, who some of you might know as well. So that's one of the big ones, the fire. The next one I've already spoken about is the Blóhanna, which is the flowers. And that sense of everything is just starting to bloom. And it's so exciting, isn't it? I came back, and there was a rose in my garden that I planted when my mother passed away, and it was blooming. So that's really exciting for us. So that's a ritual. You even have where you can get the wildflowers, and you put them outside your door at night to protect you, from any evil forces that are out there. And when I was in Kerry, we had this tour guide, Gaeilge in the Irish language, telling us all these wild stories about what the fairies would do to us, and we need to have protection. But you see that carried on today, like in pendants that have flowers and things like that. So you see nature as a protection, and all the herbs and all of the power. I mean, most of our medicine has actually come from the plant world, though quite far removed from it now. So that carries on today as well. The Bealtaine, the Blóhanna. And then the last one, what I was saying, is this Funa, which is energy in the Irish language, and this is the energy of Uru, which is the goddess who is honored at Ishnok. And Uru actually translates as abundance. So, to feel abundant and full because everything is in bloom, and that is really significant again at this time of year. And I also think in the world right now where there's a lot of scarcity mindset, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, it's really hard to kind of come up against that when we have, a cost of living crisis, and there just seems like there might not be enough resources for us all. So then we have to kind of, fall out with each other over it. So, the Celts in this time of year can gift us this idea that there's plenty for us all, right? So that idea of abundance. And Uru, if you're not familiar, like, oh, I've never heard that word. Well, Uru's land is actually Ireland. So that is, it literally is in the naming of Ireland. So we'll come to the mythology story that I'm going to tell you, kind of talks a little bit more to that. So they're the kind of three parts to it. If you can bring a bit of flame in, a bit of fire, or whatever way you want in your back garden or with the candle, you can bring some flowers, your homegrown or the wild ones, and then bring a bit of that energy of abundance, that kind of that sense of that everything's going to be fine. We've made it through the winter. Here we are, the days are longer, and our ancestors have gotten through much, much worse. Sometimes we get lost with this idea. There was somebody online the other day on TikTok talking about, how difficult it is with anxiety as a young person and ADHD and all kinds of stuff. It's a very funny Kerry woman, and she was saying, well, it is difficult, but if you think of your grandfather, he probably had to shoot his own brother in the war in the Civil War. So you know what? I think we'll be all right. I think you'll get through it. So a bit of perspective taking is good, isn't it? And that's what coming together is. And I'm sure you've had this when you're in your own head, you're in your own house, and you think we're all in a downward spiral. But then you come out, you see the sky, you see the flowers, you light a candle, and you come Lakela together, and you realize we'll all be grand. There's no worries. We're all going to be fine. So that's the energy of Bealtaine. So let's have that energy together here today. Yeah, so in keeping with that, one of my biggest reasons for getting up here on stage and making an idiot of myself all the time as to bring people together. Like I really believe in community. I grew up in rural Ireland in rural Westmeath, and I was really lucky to have beautiful parents, farmers who are both gone or Sheila Ferna on the way of the truth, and they've passed on now, and they were so integrated in the local community. So I was lucky enough to kind of come through this door a couple of years back and thought, well, I would like to do the same here. So in honor of that, let's turn to the person beside you and say hello to them. You can say it as Gaeilge or as Béarla, whatever, and you can wish them, Féile na Bealtaine. And just a little quick hello. I won't let you speak for too long. I know that I'll have to pull you back. I'm going to get my bar on because if you ever said to an Irish crowd, go and have a chat with the person beside you, well, I mean, forget it. 3 hours later. So if you're not sitting beside someone, try and see if you can smooch in beside someone because there's going to be a little couple more chats like this because I'm really keen to get people to meet each other. And Roz, one of the creative directors here, has told me that she designed the bar outside for people, especially us women, to come alone. And it is beautiful to have this centre. But then it's nice to meet your neighbour. So yeah, just say a quick hello, and you can say Bannockly na Féile to them. All right? I'll pull you back.
Bannockly na Féile. Here. How's today? No, it's like yeah, then what he's doing then he made some yeah, my family's yeah, so he needs to be yeah. Yeah. It's funny though, when he would have been my mom was but that is probably then and right. Yeah. So he will live there then somebody supposed to spend his back there. No, no, they I'm not sure myself actually. But no, he definitely because his dad when his dad went to Ireland, he that we never yeah, we forms one here. No, I'm born but my oldest is born here, then we live in
Great teachers in the Gaeilge talk. It was kind of old school. We had a Josephine Begley. I don't know if you remember her, the Begley brothers, and her incredible singer. But she's a woman, I'd say, well in her years now. And it was back to the, no English at all they could speak. And she was old school. But it was actually brilliant. So lovely. You've got to know each other now. So now there's no strangers here. There's a lovely way of greeting somebody in Gaeilge. You say a cara, which is friend. And that's even in a letter. right? So we don't have the Sir, madam. We don't do formality in Ireland. We couldn't be bothered by that because everyone knows everybody at the end of the day. So a Cara is my friend. So now you have Corgin Nua. Corgin Nua, which is new friends. So the next time you'll come, you won't be alone. And the next time you come, something else here. So that's very important to me. So thank you for partaking. Um, the next part I'm going to take you on to is the actual mythic story. And this is perfectly in tune with what's up here on the stage. So this is a beautiful piece by Sheila. Again, for sale here, and it's called The Song of Virgin. So imagine when she and I got together, and she's been has a library of books at home, the same as myself, on all of this Irish mythology and great stuff of interest. And then, of course, the wonderful William, who's the director of this centre, introduced us one night at the bar. And we knew we needed to get together, but both of us were doing lots of things. And then she's launched her beautiful exhibition. And I was like, well, let's do it now. But I didn't know that she had this piece called The Song of a Virgin. And this is what my story is about. So, I mean, they say in Irish, dochrecha, for something to be incredible. So it's an incredible like connection, Ciangla's connection in Ireland, or Nask connection, for the two of us to stumble across each other here. But it is thanks to William, to be fair to him, isn't it? So this just to give you a tiny little bit, you can actually chat to Sheila in much more detail since it's her work, but I'll just give you three little parts of it because it'll lead very nicely into my mythology. So this is actually Uru in the front here, and you have Fodla and Banva, which are the other two goddesses, or I think a nicer word might be the Sverban, which is the woman of the skies. So because in Irish, Ban Rian would be kind of a goddess, but Ria is a king, so it's like a female king. So I much prefer the Sverban idea of this kind of, kind of like otherworldly. So we have Fodla and we have Banva. And Fodla's got to do with the earth of Ireland. You might, to put a fode on a fode of turf on the fire. You might have been told to do that when you were a kid. It's a piece of turf, fode. So that's how it's connected. She's the other goddess. And then Banva is kind of connected with sound and the wind and this very, very long kind of I'm trying to think what you would call it, like a bugle or a very long kind of piece of musical instrument that used to be played, before they went into war. So that's the three goddesses there represented, and they're going to come up in the scéal in the story. Okay, so make sure you're really comfortable. I've edited it a little bit because the mythology stories are long, and so as some of you know, I'm writing a book. So for the written word, it's always a bit longer. But I'm conscious that in today's world, it's hard for us to pay attention to long pieces. So I've cut it as much as I can, but it'll be a fair wee while. So with the mythological stories, if you were sitting around the Bealtaine, chilling a Bealtaine, your mind will wander and drift out. But that's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Maybe you were a child and you were hearing stories and you weren't paying full attention all the time. That's absolutely grand. You know what I mean? You'll wander off and there might be an image or a Gaeilge word or something that takes your imagination, and that's absolutely fine. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the suspiog, the little break to be here and have somebody read aloud to you. If you're ever lucky enough to have a parent do it for you, it is a beautiful thing. So yeah, just settle in and we'll go into the scéal, into the mytholíocht, the mythology. Mytholíocht na hÉireann is the mythology of Ireland. Scéal Sperban Uru I non de Mergin. The story of the goddess Uru in the destiny of a virgin. Ibrahim, number one. Ní bhaidh a lehead a Rishan. There'll never be the likes of her again. Fado in me Bealtaine, in the month of May, Idir an dá cholas, at twilight, Uru hears the lonely call of the cailleach, the owl, through the branches of the dar oak tree. The two a day have walked this land freely for Míle Saori, 1,000 summers. Their gasa spells still shimmer in the soil, but their feet no longer press the earth. For they are ag imacht, leaving, and the Gaels are ag chocht, coming. The Gaels are neat on amok, 9 waves out, and getting closer, and Eru could feel it in her bones. She could hear the clash of croob, the clatter of hooves beneath the tall of earth. They're travelling with ba, cattle, kira, sheep, and capel, horses. Ach, níl siad lúthraach, but they're not sure-footed. They're not light like the two a day, the gods of before. Well, maybe apart from emerging and Fá, the seer, because he's with them. War is stirring, gone in doubt for sure, but Uru will not fight. She has fought before. She has birthed a king and wept as he betrayed the land. For she had fallen for a Formodian king. King Sheshur, he was good, either a lashrak between her thighs, but when he vanished back to Tory Ireland, Náire, shame stained her cheeks, Cog Darav Margreen eg Leonocht, as red as tonight's setting sun. Ah, and Grania, the sun, it puts her in mind of Lou and her own to a tribe. Oh, how Lou loved her. And she recalls Braille o Braille, mouth on mouth, tave o tave, is a ngeg and a thimple, side by side, her limbs around him. But their graw love was brishna, broken, by the truer Derhochtach, the 3 brothers, who now sat on the throne of Ireland. Truer re Michlishna, 3 unwise kings they were. Macul, Macecht, and they were always squabbling, gomininic, their swords singing louder than their sense, bickering over power, and her birch Triforica, her 2 sisters, Banva and Fodla. And the crowned head that was the biggest, he who lay in her bed, Macgrania. Ah, Eru sighs. Fear a raw, truth be told, he did not shine like Lou, one of her own. Ach, an hour can a hollis fain atá she, but he only looked to his own interest. And so Eru sat longing and aching, ag fannacht, ag fannacht, ag fannacht, waiting. She knew in her career heart of the days of this shower of Santak men, greedy men were numbered, and she felt the land beneath her bare feet shake from its fire, eager to be rid of rulers who were gone ma na mishnach, good for nothing. No, Ura will not linger with the lash Gaelta, the lies. She will not wait to Tara for the blood to spill. In her ashling visions of the Todcliffe future, she has seen a Dar Nua, a new chief. For Uru is the last of her kind above ground, and Levi a lehed aun arish, and there will never be the likes of her here again. So in Lahollis, in the half-light, she rises, and she shifts into Sheila na Portach, a crane, long-limbed and lonesome, wings slicing towards Narealta, the stars, and she flies south from Tara, fleeing the weight of the battle towards a different faith. Her feet touch down Iguri, in Kerry, and through the murling mist that clings to the coast, she stands, one-legged, ag fannacht, waiting. Behind her, the sea roars, and she is reminded of the god Manaman's Máire, his bag of tricks, his Máire na Gréanáin, the crane bag, which is said to hold all the Fasa wisdom of the three worlds. And Ura recalls the look of distrust in Dagda's eyes as he and Gach Illa Ella, everyone else of her kind, vanished beneath the giant rock of the giant rock at Ishnach, Alin Namurin. And once they were left, Uru, Banva, and Fodla stood together, the sage sisters, and turned away from them, and a quiet knowing settled between them. They knew the Gaels were approaching, and they knew that each sister must now take her own form and her own path and play her own part. For this was not just geography, it was cosmology. The land must be understood and listened to. It must be wooed. And in Raeadorach, the courting had begun. Everado, emerging I Gurry, emerging in Kerry. On the coast of Kerry, a sea fog curls over the Schleifta Mountains as soon as Emergent steps the shore, and Uru's ties tingle, for it is he who she has been waiting for. And as soon as Amergan's boots sink into the sodden sand, his arms cradling his dying Bancéla wife, Uru knows what's going to happen next. She sees the Jarrag red blood mixing with the glass Gurram blue-green tide, and she sees his bronze sorrow as heavy as the fog. And she is Sheila na Purtach, the crane, and her eyes follow his every cushcame footstep. And there is relief from Emerging as he sees Sheila na Purtach, the crane. There is a recognition of this beautiful creature and of the Muthacán, the feeling she somehow holds for him, and he does not leave. O scéal go scéal, bit by bit, this crane is a breagach a smincha, is influencing his thoughts, all the while ag shasav or lachosh, standing on one leg. And she stretches out her wings, and before him she changes again, and a woman stands before him. Her skin holds the shimmer of the light of dawn, and her limbs are long and fine. And as he moves closer, he realizes tá sí go léir in a slóda shinta. She is entirely stretched out, and she is naked. A hula ag Latin, his eyes widen, and she is widening too, for she is colahan leis an deer, as wide as the land. And her gi is a gatha na beatha, a gateway of life, like a giant cave, a walia, home. Erin is long and galanta fine, and her body a mirror. And as the kyo driekta, the magic mist thickens around Emerging, she says, Ismisha Uru, my name is Uru. My name means abundance. And if we lie Lekela, you will never know Gertha, hunger. Ever three, number three. This is not foreplay. This is prophecy on Fiann, the seer. He hears her voice again. You are not like the rest of your people. You are Amergin. He nods. Yes, my people laugh at me. And she says, it's because you have your own canny, special way about you. But you have travelled to this land before. And he says, yes, I have been to Mead. And Eru says, Totu ro klishta, you are too clever for your brothers. You sense something the other Gaels cannot. Your mind is a multiverse. You see too far and feel too much. In my land, that is valued. Emergent knows that she is not of his world, yet he is drawn to her. And with each step towards her embrace, the earth responds, parting beneath his feet, forward or forward, sod over sod, cleha or cleha, each stone, like a record of memory, revealing more and more. And Emergent listens to her voice, and he understands, not with logic, but with a fierce fawn wildness, Igbishak spiraling up in circles. And he surrenders, feeling the coolness of the Carrig rocks between him. Her gi is full and layered as she welcomes him into her embrace. Oscailta, Ivra Cahar, Oscailta, open. So when Era opens to him, truly opens, he does not flinch. A space unfurls beneath them, lozenge-shaped and luminous. Between her legs, a portal opens, stone and moss, and mouth of earth, thick with memory and the scent of clover. And he enters, and there is no force or fear, but recognition. And each step is a layer of peat and grief and hunger and harvest, and the bones of Namana women who walked before him, and the chants of Nefern men who forgot into a Gaeilge to listen. And he falls and falls through it all. Ectitchum, 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 falling, falling. For Emergent has entered a time portal. Yet, Níl sé cailse, he's not lost. He is found. And for Níl, for 9 days, Emergent is connected to something ancient, a kushla, a pulse far beyond Uncath the battle and beyond the earthly struggle above of his brothers, the Gael. 9 days of wonder, of braw, 9 days with Eru. And inside the ancient Maclob, the womb of the land itself, Emergent's visions unfold. And it's a deja vu, a re-seeing and a seeing, for his Ashling visions have foretold us, for he is the Fath, the seer of his tribe, for he has ADH, Driocht, and he begins to understand Eru's Connacht power, not as a woman to be conquered, but as a cosmic force to be respected. Iver Cuig. na trí Driforica, the triad, the three sisters. Meanwhile, Uru's sister, Banva, shifts above the ground as the gales land ashore. She is the Fuamara, the sound of the sea. She is Aran Nehain, the song of the birds. She is the Cogger whisper of the grass beneath the Giha, the wind and its caresses. For she is Banva Nagiha, Banva of the winds, and the music, the ceol of all things. And Fodla, the second sister, shifts also into the earth itself, carrig rock and fode turf. And she can also feel the gales and the stirring of their boots in the soil and the touch of their lava hands on her sacred shleifta. And at every peak where they meet, she feels their kushla pulse. For the truer Drifica are an otherworldly presence, and the Gaels can feel them too. And a Mashicon Máire, a mystication of the mind, falls on the Gaels, and they are drawn towards Mead, towards the centre, on Lor, the umbilical cord, the Driach, the magic Elor Nitira. As if the wind is whispering, Che go Canuckishnig, Che go Canuckishnig, Che go Canuckishnig. Go to the helm of Ishna. Ever a shocked dawn emerging, the poem of emerging. And there is a slua more, a big crowd now gathering at Ishnach, Ilor, the Gaels, the warriors, Nari, and the two a day, but hidden to the human eyes, for they are ready too beneath the soil. And suddenly, Alan Namurin opens up the sacred stone at the center of Ishna, and Uru and Emergent step out, followed by Banva and Fodla. And so all three elements of the land are united, earth, wind, and fire. Banva is the fertile vibration, Fodla the soil of sovereignty, and Uru will be the sacred spark yet to come. And Banva sounds her horn, a luminous vibration, and the moment is bio, alive with anticipation. And the Slua Moor are noisy and unsettled. The Gaels are wondering, Ke he shin, Kadatha at Horla, what is going on? But Emergence speaks then, their Fia, their seer, and of course they know him and wondered where he'd been all the time. And he speaks a Changa Ella, another tongue, a Changa Bio, a lively tongue. And he says to them, a Corja Gael, my Gael friends, this is Uru, and this is her land. And all eyes turn to Unspareban Uru. And she starts to recite the filíocht, the poetry. Am Gair Imer, she begins. I am the wind upon the sea. And Emergent now carries her dawn, her song, and he answers. Am Tan Trehen. I am the wave upon the land. And everyone is silent as the Gaeilge is spoken. And the ancient sounds soothe them. And the land recognizes Emergent's voice as Uru continues. Am Fuamara. I am the sound of the sea, she replies. And Emergent. Am Senegal. I am the hawk on the cliff. And he answers, And she answered, I'm Con Luby. I am the fairest of the plants. And then emerging, I'm Torcarnan. I am the boar for bravery. And Eru, I'm Hay Lind. I am the salmon in the pool. And on until he is bound to Eru in spirit and in speech, and their nask nefa, their sacred bond, is sealed in song. And she finishes with Amder Grania, Amder Grania, Amder Grania. I am the teardrop of the sun, and the sluamore, the crowd of Gaels, and the kings, and everyone present. Repeat the words. Amder Grania, Amder Grania. And emerging and Eru, circle Alan Murren, the sacred stone, a hand one time round. Amder Grania, a doe two times round. Amder Grania, three times round. Amder Grania. And at this last moment, Eru self-ignites and her feathers burst into flames. And she is now the fire of Bealtaine, a light, a light, a light. And the Gaels don't know what is going on. They're in awe of what is happening, but they are enamored and they're in awe of this presence and of their seer and of emerging. And they feel Fitchafuha woven into the fabric of the land. And she's shifting Amuru from flames to Sheila Porta to the crane to the feathers. Emerging has pledged himself through his vocal words that he will honour Uru's name, and he is bound forever to stay with the Gaels. And from her shoulders of Emerging, from the shoulders of Eru, lift her feathers, and they are a flame, a flame. And they land on his shoulders. Is Tiggin na Filla, the cloak of the poets. The colourful feathers. Dahana Galanta, beautiful colours of bui yellow, jarrag red, garab blue. And he is bound in body and heart to Uru and the land. And the spirits of the land are tied to him in mass respect. And as Uru descends back in as a flame and a feather and a presence into Alan na Murren, Emerging ignites the first fire of Bealtaine to be seen across the land, on the hill of Tara and all the hills. And Emerging says, this is Uru's land, Ireland. And she is gone. Anyhow. Ever an ocht, na 8. Abundance through Uru. And the Gaels thrive in the abundance of Uru's land. In beast and birds and beings, they all live like Sheila. And it is the gifts of the land which help them live in prosperity, and their spiritual connection, they are Kiangalta forever. And the two of the day live in harmony with them, beneath the mounds, beneath the Shioga of the land. And time passes, and the fires dim, but the land does not forget. And there's the coming of Christianity and of colonization and of capitalization. And the myths go fritalif underground. Some of the new people think that they're vulgar. Some of the new people don't understand Uru and the two a day. Some think there's neither a shame to be had in the language and Gaeilge and the rituals and the nosana, the traditions, and the nask, the bond with the land. And so the very pillars that once sustained them, Uru's abundance, becomes distorted, misunderstood, and buried beneath layers and layers of masculine domination. And the sacred knowledge of Uru and the feminine interweaving with the land is branded as sinful, and her sacred vulva a symbol of shame. Their stories are suppressed and their voices are silenced. And the land that once thrived under Uru's gaze becomes a tool of exploitation, transformed into a product, not a partner. Yet the Carrick, the rocks remember, and all over the land there are statues that are revealed, little etchings of a small naked woman who looks old and yet her vulva is young. They are called Sheila na gigs, and these carvings are scattered all ar fud na tíre across the land of Eru, a reminder of the power that she once wielded, the power of the people, the dark and the light, Samhain and Bealtaine, the dark half and the light half. And time passes once more, and the fire festival of Ishnok is forgotten. But some keep her flame alight, China na Bealtaine. And Legini, more recently, the Gaels start to remember again, and feminine energy, the fierce Funav, starts to ag Irie rise again, as it did in yesterday at Ishnok, where 5,000 people came together for Bealtaine, for the fire festival. And Féile na Bealtaine is revived all over Ireland, and the Changa Bio freshen and Gaeilge freshen is spoken again by Nowiga, the young and the old. And emergent song is resong and resong, for it is Fitchafuha, it is interwoven into the land. It is Uru's destiny and emergence destiny, Fitchafuha, interwoven, Gujo, forever. Shine, as they say, dance the story. So thank you for bearing with me. It's a long one. I encourage you just to take a little moment and just take a suspiog, as we say on Gaeilge, and just close your eyes for a moment and just allow the resonance of that just to sit with you at long Sheila, my rewriting of the story. Just whatever came up for you, allow it just to sit in your mind. And we'll have Sheila again. Tantre fuimara dam shecht niren shegina der grene ka Turkagal hailing Lochemai Briendi Bridane Die for bears Faktu Day Delbus the king of Kia Nangleka Gershraven Kia on Kanzigan Echeski Kia du Iraq when your grain I am a wind in the sea. I am a wave upon the shore. I am the roar of the ocean. I am a stag of 7 times. I am a hawk upon the cliff. I am a dewdrop full of sun. I am the fairest of flowers. I am a boar for valor. I am a salmon. Ah, ah. Gurmila, Sheila, thank you. So hopefully that is starting to connect it all for you. This Dawn Amergan or Emergence song, which is quite well known within traditional circles, is believed to be the oldest song, oldest poem words ever spoken, and it is a poem of incantation. And you know, there when you go searching for the spare van for the goddesses of Ireland, there's not very much written down. And when you look at Gaeilge in the Irish language, I was surprised to find how little is actually there. And over the last, you know, how many centuries, we have added in our own version. And being Mana, two women here on stage, Sheila and I, it's quite interesting how it has been told often through the lens of, you know, a white a man of the aristocracy. So always emergence, dawn is always said to come from the mouth of a virgin, with the everything powerful coming from the mouth of a man. So we kind of thought it might be quite interesting, and I certainly to have the idea that it's actually interwoven with the goddesses. You know, it is a pact they have to make together. But what's lovely about this ancient poem incantation is I found connections in my work as a meditation teacher. I've been teaching meditation now for 15 years. I trained in mindfulness first and then trained in Vedic, with my Indian husband who's here. Is that, you know, you realize that Gaeilge, our beautiful language, is as old as Sanskrit, the Indian language. And of course, Nankon Magan, who some of you know, he had done some research on that, as have other people. But when you start to go, well, these are the very ancient words our ancestors spoke, and you go to ancient sites, and I've traveled all over, and you sit within the cairns and you have resonances, and you know the light enters Newgrange, you know, through that little crack on these very special days, you know, at winter solstice, and it just holds on for 17 minutes only, and you find there's a resonance to meditate for in around 17 to 30, 20 minutes rather. And that's what you're taught for years in meditation. And then you go, well, that's a coincidence, isn't it? And more coincidences start to happen the deeper you go through the Gaeilge. So then I decided I would see what if my meditation students used the Gaeilge instead of Sanskrit. And that's what I've been doing. And I teach a meditation course online and other places, but also here at the centre. So that's what we're going to do together. And we're going to meditate together now. And it's beautiful to have Sheila because she's kind of really led us into the feeling of it. And you've heard the words that we're going to use within the story and also from Sheila. I think I'll put this up here for now. You see if I can do it. So that's good. See, is there anything else we needed to have? Oh, hold on. To try to see if I go into the oh, I'm going down there. Sorry. It always takes me a moment. It's kind of counterintuitive, this. You go down to go up. So, come on, Eshkil. You're getting to see the blog and a reach. Yes. So, two more beautiful pieces of Sheila's here. The Morrigan, who's another spare banner goddess. And then we have kind of, I feel like this is an impression of Caliac. So Sheila has different names on her work, but you know, when you look at a piece of art and you find your own thing. So there's definitely that sense of the darkness coming into the light at this time of year, the transfer over. And then we have this idea of the Sheila gig, which I've put in. I suppose you could call my idea of that is actually a kneecap t-shirt. I don't know if you're fans of kneecap, but they have the Sheila gig on their t-shirts now, which is incredible. I think there's a lot of people who don't really know kneecap very deeply and think they might be quite controversial, but there's a lot of deep layers within them, with the mythology here, and they're quite informed and well-read men, to be honest. But yes, the Sheila gig. So where I'm from in Westmeath, there is a beautiful Sheila gig, and unfortunately, it's no longer in Condon Hervey. The Sheila gig from Westmeath is currently in the British Museum. So yeah, I think there was a TD this week who actually has said, "Could we have it back?" I mean, it's the age-old story. I wonder if Europe is looking for them. But my Sheila gig. So we have what Sheila na Gaeilge I have, I suppose what blind I would call my hot take on Sheila na Gaeilge is I see it as the coming together of the Cailleach, or this winter energy, this old woman with the fertility of Earth, all within the one statue. So that I think it's a representation of both of them together. Um, so that's my, hot take on it. That's what I think of it. And even the name Sheila, Sheila na Gaeilge, Gaeilge is a slang word. Have any of you heard Gaeilge before on your travels? It's a Dublin word. Some of you know what it is. That's enough nodding. The rest you can find out. Look it up. But what does it mean? And even if you think of Sheila, is it she? The she. I mean, we don't know if you travel all over Ireland and you look at the signs everywhere, and you have the Irish words for the place names, and then you have what's phonetically written down, and that there's no connection between the two. So sometimes when you go into something ancient like this, and you're reading what's phonetically written down, like Sheila na Gaeilge, that's quite likely that wasn't correct. It was something else. So I think it's very interesting to think about what it might mean. And there's hundreds of them all over Ireland. You can go and Bobo the Bard, if you ever follow him on TikTok, he's quite an interesting one. He's on a kind of a mission to see them all. And there's maps, you can go and find them. There is another one not too far from Loch Derivara, where I'm from, Sheila na Gaeilge. It's up on a church. So they didn't get both of them. So there is one still in Connanervy. You can't see the one in the British Museum. It's gone in. It's not on display, so I don't know where it is. But anyway, so that's kind of so now this leads us nicely into the meditation. So and I call it mantra meditation because, just so people know, it's not mantra in the Indian sense. Mantra is an Indian Sanskrit word. Man and tra, it means a mind tool. And, have any of you guys meditated before? If we get a show of hands, maybe if you've ever tried it. Oh, loads of you. You're all great meditators. Lovely. So there's a couple of different ways of meditating. You can meditate with the breath. So you close your eyes and just focus on the in and the out breath. Or else you can focus on a mantra, which is a mind tool. And really, it's just like you just need something to focus the mind on, to bring it away from all the overthinking and the going on and on that's going on in your mind. So that's all it is. And it's more like sounds rather than it being preoccupied with what the words are. So yeah, that's just, sorry, a little bit there. Just giving you this is your chance to embrace it. Yeah, so we can leave it there. Actually, perfect. So we're going to do that Lakela together, and there's three parts. There's three parts to this. Well, that was my other job. Go in about it. That's like to be undecided, right? Hopefully, none of you are undecided about doing meditation. You're all set. Yeah, that's our grinding. Let's see if I've done. There is our center of Ishnot, right in the center of the country. Um, yeah, okay. So I didn't put up sheet. That's okay. I don't remember. We'll leave that. So the method is really, really easy. There's three steps to doing this meditation. SHE is how you spell it out. Or you can also add in the SIDHE, which is the she, right? So I'll take you through it and then we'll do it Lakela together. So the S stands for, it's an acronym, it stands for the soothing sound. And we've just been talking about that. It's like a lullaby, and how beautiful it is to have Sheila here with us today. So that you're using this sound to kind of coax yourself away from the worries and the stress and the overthinking of your mind, and to get kind of past all of that busyness into what I would call a kushnog, a word I learned from Ancon, which means kind of the honey nest or the special gift inside. I think John O'Donoghue, the great Irish poet and philosopher, used to call it the wild freedom within. So we're all trying to get past all the crap, aren't we? Like all that overthinking and worry. So that's what the mantra, the mind tool, does. And as I said, I call it a manatra, which is a nod to Manar, feminine energy. But the she is the soothing sound. The H stands for to make a hames of it. Right? Are you with me? Who knows what a heaps is? Anyone? Any here? You're here, know what a heaps of it. You've made a couple of heaps in your life. Good for you. So I'm making it right now. One of my favorite Hiberno phrases, my mother would say, like, "Ah, should Jesus, you made a hymns of that now," and it's to mess it up. And that is ultimately the energy that you bring to meditation. So that's not the energy we're told to bring to everyday life, with to be very perfect. But in meditation, you're going to mess it up. And by that I mean your mind is going to wander. So when you sit down, and we'll say the mantra aloud together, and then you're going to say it internally, like the spare ban earlier was whispering to you, or like Sheila's beautiful harp is singing to you, and you'll hear it in your mind. But sure, I'll tell you what, after probably 30 seconds, off your mind will go, oh God, what am I going to have for lunch? And who am I going to meet next? And you know what? I must send that email, and you know, must put that thing, there, and all the rest of it, right? Your mind's just going to wander. But that's fine, because that's what minds do. There's no problem. Little fiber bath, there's no problem with that. And I'll tell you what, if you sit down and your mind is not wandering, you're in trouble, because then you're Máire, you're dead. So be happy your mind's wandering, right? So that's what it's going to do. And it's going to do it. I mean, I'm meditating 15 years, and my mind still wanders. That's what minds do. They just do that. But the meditation is when you bring your mind back. Now, you got to bring it back nicely and gently. Like, don't be speaking to yourself harshly in the moon show. Don't let the moon show kick in and go, oh, jeez, I'm so shit at this. Like, what the flip's going on here? Don't be doing that. Just bring yourself back to the soothing sound. And don't worry if the way you say the soothing sound isn't like anyone else. Guess what? Nobody can hear you. So it's fine, it's in your own mind. But whatever you have a kind of an idea of what the mantra is, just bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. And every time you do that, you're meditating. And when you do it once, that's it. You've done meditate. So if you've never meditated before, a lot of you have, you'll be meditators after this. And the practice of meditation is simply repeating that over and over, every day. And then the last part is the SHE, where I have a feminine energy. And the reason I say feminine energy is, it's not got to do with being a man or a woman. We all have feminine and masculine energy in us, and we all need it. And we need it to be balanced, right? But I feel at the moment there's a lot of masculine energy out there. What do you reckon? Yeah, a little bit too much. And so I think the process of sitting down in silence with yourself is quite feminine to me, feminine energy. It's quite restful and quite soothing. And then we need the masculine energy to get up and go. You wouldn't even come here if you didn't have to get up and go, right? But we need the balance. So the E then, before I digress further, the E is for the emotion check. And that's, I also have trained in psychology, and that's to check in with yourself. Something will shift. There's always a shift in the stories. You'll see, Eru shifts into Sheila and Portak, and the stories are full of shape shifting and Drake magic. But we shift a lot every day. But sometimes when we have a low mood, we forget that our mood shifts. Something shifts, even, beyond gone a little bit. And so when you come out, the thing is to notice the shift. Do I feel a little bit different? And you're trying to notice the positive emotions, because we're very, very good at noticing the negative emotions, right? We love that. We love knowing why. So just notice, check in. Do I feel a little bit calmer? Do I feel a little bit lighter? Do I feel a little bit more grounded? Proud that I'm here. I'm thankful. And I'll give you a cue for that. So that's the SHE. And then I've added in two other little bits. And this is for the future to go forward for yourself. But if you were spelling she the old fashioned way, SIDHE, you have an I and a D in there. And I love this because the I is for I. So the only person that can meditate is you. There's nobody else, and nobody else is going to know what you're doing. So it's entirely up to you. Bit of personal responsibility. And then the D is for daily. So that's the practice. I do always say, if you were brushing your teeth, scoop the vehicle, brushing your teeth. If you brushed your teeth once, now do you think that'd be any good to you? No. So people sometimes say, well, I meditated once. And I say, well, that's great, but off you go again and do it again. So that's it. It's me, it's my responsibility to do it daily, and then the good stuff comes. All right, everybody with me? SHE. So I'll lead you in. Do you think we could do just one little note now? Yeah. It's just, I'm so lucky to have this amazing woman with me. No. I don't mind. I'm going to do I'm Green, yeah. It's going to be the mantra. Um, I mean, so whatever, I don't mind. Whatever suits you. Sure. And we're going to say it a couple of times. We're looking at time, yeah. So Green, yeah, as you've heard it here in the story and with Sheila. and the dawn in the poem. And it really, again, I wouldn't get too hung up on the meaning of anything because it's really just the soothing sound like a lullaby to bring you in. But it's the idea of I am the dewdrop of the sun. And you know, another thing with Bealtaine, you can get up dead early in the morning and you can put the dewdrops on your face and give yourself a little wash. A lot of that stuff just in nature. You know, is it full of magic? Who knows? But isn't it nice to be up at the crack of dawn and out in the middle of nowhere and giving yourself that? So a lot of it's just about being in nature. There are cues in nature. But have you ever seen the little dewdrops sitting on a flower or a leaf with the sun coming through? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you with me? It's really quite beautiful. And even if you take a photograph of it, it's not the same. I mean, the human eye is incredible. But that's why I don't worry about the technology. But so it's Amdur Grania. Grania is the sun, the green. And so we're going to say it aloud together. And then we'll get quieter and quieter and we'll go inside. Is everybody okay with that? Everyone with me? Yeah. We'll just do it for a short amount of time. It won't be very long. Take another time. Yeah. Well, we'll like do it for like 5 minutes or so. That's it. And we'll bring you back out again. If it's something you're interested in, you can speak to me afterwards. There's a course on that. But for now, just keep it really short and really simple. Yeah. So let's go together. Are you good? I'm going to sit down as well. One side. Start. Stand at a table there. It's beautiful, the fun of the energy of meditating together. There's something going on. I mean, they don't know what it is, but something good. Under Grania, under Grania. So long as you can hear yourself, that's fine. Doesn't have to be super loud. Under Grania, under Grania. Granian, 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 in your mind, can hear it. When your mind wanders, just come back to it. So very slowly come back into your body. If you remember the SAG, we have the E, which is just to check in with your feeling, whatever you're feeling. And you can put your hand on your heart, or both your hands in your heart space. And just notice yourself. What is the feeling? Do you feel a bit lighter, a little bit calmer, a little bit more grounded? You might be feeling proud that you've come here today to connect with your ancestors and your culture. Or thankful that you're here with the community. Curious about Gaeilge and learning about the art or the meditation. Any of those feelings, just notice them. Notice them. Just feeling joy or hope for the rest of your day. Just allow that feeling, the way that your heart pumps the blood all around your body every day without you knowing it. Allow the feeling now, just whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Just notice it and say it internally. I feel thankful. I feel joyful. I feel hopeful. Whatever it is. And allow that feeling to travel down your body, to travel down your chest, to your waist, down your thighs and your knees, down your legs and your feet, and down into your push, your toes. You can give your toes a little wiggle if you want to. You're back in the room, ground yourself here. And then again, allow to travel back up your heels, the back of your legs, the back of your thighs and your bum and your back and your neck, on your shoulders. The feeling, I'm the feeling, I feel joyful, I feel thankful, I feel hopeful. Come along your shoulders, down your arms, on your wrists, into your fingertips or lava. And again, you can give your hands a little wiggle to wake them up. Particularly useful if you're sitting for a longer meditation, and just let them come back in, feel your body. And again, traveling back up the wrists, the back of the arms, up your shoulders, up your neck, and into your face, up into your forehead, and up to your crown, to your head. And you can take your hands and you can just rub, give yourself a little massage. You can just rub your hands on the top of your head, just ever so, oh so gently. Just, self-soothe and self-massage. Very nice. Stroke your hair just for a moment. Just to feel that presence. Ceol, there was a meditation in ancient Irish called kind of the insight of the head. You can trace it back with the language, which was outlawed with St. Patrick. So that's kind of what we're getting back to. So yeah, just allow yourself just to feel that. I feel hopeful. I feel joyful. I feel calm. I feel grounded. I feel thankful. And then so you can let your hands just drop. I can encourage you to keep your eyes closed for a moment. You can flicker open if you need to, just to reorientate yourself. I have a little done myself, a short poem, and then Sheila's going to finish with a piece of music. We're just around the time. We're a little late starting, which is usual for us here at the Irish Centre. Would you like to be in time? Sure, there's no crap in that, is there? So you can keep your eyes closed if you like. It's a short poem, and then we'll end with another beautiful song from Sheila. This is called Spermina, the Women of the Sky. Tell me the Gael myths of Fado, an alternative scéal to Irish pubs and padre. Spin me a new narrative flow so I can teach young women and Poshti, the ancestry they need to know. Inish dumpsta, sual ella, tale ella, of ancient revelry, where great goddess power usurps the leacht, the hero of the hour, where the female for Gabali from Mabrish Bringloji come alive before my eyes. Inish dum, free the crow I see, the Morrigan, the destroyer so bold, and the sage on Cailleach with fierce fasta of old. Tell me of Creator Breach, forging love, her filíocht the flame, and the wanderer Boain, gone kiangle sashaying away without shame. Inishdom fitaltu, the Dinshankus contains the clue of the caregiver who, Tur Ara more to Lu, who gifted us ancient games to fill our hearts. And tell me of the warrior so Kruga Cree, her speed equal to her nyart, her name within Ardmacha's heart. Inishdom free the lover, her legs and gee spread wide, Fitcha fuha to the land with pride. And Cleana, the magician, otherworld influencer, fawn wild hair and time blind. And tell me about Maeve, not a resting bitch face queen, but a divine trickster unseen, her connacht power concealed, who brings Cuchulainn to his knees. Inish dumpsa, free spear mana na heron, Egdausa, ni nine deadly goddesses, Nishi, and finally, their fear, truth will be revealed. Saura, 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 Banyan and Auna, Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Saura Puira Doni Glega, Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Hogamor Limne and Quell Craver. Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Saura Pui Olina Grena. Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Pabogna Bealtaine Martin Sue's got Canuck, she's got Glam. Carlini Mashika Bongala Glega. Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Collis, Trumnus, Clement. Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Which o Glega Bealtaine Storytelling. Hogamor Fen and Saura Lane. Saura, 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 Saura. Gaeilge, Sheila. That's a lovely rhyme, isn't it? Gaeilge, Sheila. But Shinny, that's us, everyone. We'll just go to surrounding. Yeah, so the last part there was go my ceangalta le comacht an dúra gach elano. So that's like kind of a wish that you be connected to the balance of nature. Comacht an dúra gach elano every day. So that's kind of what my hope and wish for you all is, that you're reconnecting and that you stay connected. So we're around for a while. I can certainly answer any questions. We kind of said 1 o'clock if people need to go, but I'm happy to take questions from anybody. If you want to stay in the hall, we'll definitely all have a cup on tea and some next door. The meditation course I teach is another cohort coming up. It's basically an 8 weeks mindfulness course, and I've reduced it down into the 5, and it's a bit longer every week. You can book via the website. There's the QR code there. There's one over there on the right side of the stage as well. And we can bring that out if anyone wants it. If anyone has any question, Ian, Kesh, or Carabet, come and ask me about it. It's a small group. It's kind of 10 to 12. We never take any more than that because it's just lovely. I think this is our 5th time. Is it my 5th time to do it, or 4th? I can't remember. They're running a while now. So yeah, it's just gone up actually, I think this week. And a very reasonable price, obviously. Now, the other thing I want to draw attention to is Sheila's work. Of course, it's all around you. It's so beautiful. All the beautiful prints. So take a bit of time, have a look at that. And she'll be here to talk for a while. You're going to come down, aren't you, to the area where you have all the prints. She's got prints for sale as well as the actual art on the walls. So if you want to buy a print, you can chat to her about that. Yeah, so Sinead, AA is the same Kerry. They do the 2 in Kerry, Shin AA. So that's not that and Gohuntach. I'm saying that's Gohuntach, which is partly a London. So that's me told. But anyone, any questions before we move out of here? Because I always very happy to answer any questions. Everyone okay? Everyone good? Grand, lovely. So Grand, sure, we'll have a cup on tea next door and whatever, and we're around if you have any questions about anything. Yeah, go mille maga. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you see the sign. Wait, Slán go gachtainna ar on YouTube. On the phone. Yeah. Yeah.